You push harder every day, trying to hold everything together. On paper, you're the one in charge. You make the calls, you set the deadlines, you check every detail twice. And yet, instead of feeling stronger, you feel heavier. Instead of your team leaning on you, they start pulling away. You sense it in the silence after meetings, in the way eyes glance down when you ask a question, in the tension that fills the room the moment you step in. It feels like no matter what you do, there's resistance just beneath the surface. People nod, but they don't commit. They agree, but their energy is somewhere else. You end up chasing, reminding, correcting, fixing, and the more you tighten your grip, the more it slips through your fingers. There's a special kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying the weight of both the work and the people doing it. You tell yourself it's what leadership is about: responsibility, vigilance, making sure nothing falls apart. But the truth you don't say out loud is this: you're tired of being the only engine pushing everything forward. You're tired of walking into a room and feeling like trust has quietly evaporated, even though you're working harder than ever. And beneath the tiredness is a quiet fear. Fear that if you loosen your hand for even a moment, everything will collapse. Fear that the only thing holding the team together is your constant control. Fear that without you pressing, driving, demanding, there will be nothing left. But here's the contradiction that gnaws at you. The more you control, the less it works. The tighter you squeeze, the more lifeless the results become. You start to wonder if maybe the very thing you're doing to save the team is what's killing its spirit. By the end of this, you'll understand why control isn't strength, why it's the trap that drains trust and destroys exactly what you've been trying to protect. We're taught to believe that control is the foundation of leadership. Keep an eye on everything. Demand accountability. Make sure no mistake slips through. The story goes, without strict oversight, the team will get lazy, lose focus, or fall apart. Discipline, we're told, builds trust. Authority, we're told, is proven by how closely we watch. It's a convincing story because it offers the illusion of safety. If you're checking every detail, nothing can surprise you. If you're correcting every slip, nothing can spiral out of control. Control promises certainty, but what it actually creates is fear. And fear never builds trust. It only breeds compliance. Think of the myths we quietly accept. That respect comes from rules, not from relationships. That people give their best only when they're monitored. That a team left unchecked will always drift toward chaos. These ideas sound practical, but in practice they backfire. Instead of safety, they create tension. Instead of motivation, they create passivity. Instead of commitment, they create quiet sabotage. Because when every move is inspected, people stop bringing their whole selves. They give the minimum required, nothing more. They hide mistakes instead of learning from them. They withhold ideas instead of risking criticism. And slowly, the trust you thought you were securing dissolves into silence. Control doesn't strengthen authority, it erodes it. The more you prove to people that you don't trust them, the less they'll trust you in return. What feels like discipline from your side feels like doubt from theirs, and doubt poisons the very bond a team depends on. The hardest truth is this: control doesn't prevent collapse, it accelerates it. And the more tightly you hold, the faster what matters slips through your grip. Here's the painful revelation: control doesn't give people strength, it takes it away. When every decision is made for you, when every step is corrected, when every move is watched, you stop being the subject of your own work. You become a pair of hands carrying out someone else's will. And with that, the sense of ownership, of pride, of inner drive begins to disappear. Leaders often believe control is a sign of power. But look closer. Control isn't born from strength. It's born from fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of failure, fear of being exposed as not enough without the constant grip. And when fear sits at the core, no amount of rules or oversight can ever create real trust. Think about how it feels on the receiving end, when someone doesn't just guide you but hovers over you, when every choice you make is second-guessed, when your effort is never enough because it has to be done their way. After a while, you stop trying, not because you don't care, but because you've learned that your care doesn't count. Control drains the life out of people. It builds walls instead of bridges. And the irony is cruel. The more you try to secure loyalty through control, the more loyalty slips away. If this truth is striking something in you, if you recognize both the fear and the exhaustion in this cycle, then you're in the right place. Subscribe now, because what comes next will dig even deeper into the psychology of control, and more importantly, how to free yourself and your team from it. Jung once said that what we resist in ourselves shows up outside of us as fate. Control is one of those shadows. On the surface, it looks like discipline, responsibility, even strength. But underneath, it's often the face of fear. Fear of losing, fear of chaos, fear of not being enough without absolute grip on things. In Jung's language, the controlling leader embodies the archetype of the father in its shadow form. The rigid figure who dictates, who demands obedience, who smothers spontaneity with rules. And just like a strict parent can crush a child's trust, this archetype played out in leadership crushes a team's spirit. Spontaneity dies. Creativity suffocates. What remains is compliance without commitment. Freud would have said it differently. Hyper-control is compensation. It's the unconscious trying to cover over a deep sense of helplessness. When you've repressed the fear of losing control, it doesn't vanish. It flips into its opposite. You become the one who must control everything. The inner critic that once judged you turns outward, policing everyone around you. And here lies the paradox. The more control you impose, the more hidden aggression it provokes. People may not shout it aloud, but it simmers beneath the surface. In passive resistance, in withheld effort, in the quiet rebellion of disengagement. Control doesn't bind people closer, it drives them further away, even if they remain physically in place. Simple words, but a hard truth. The tighter you hold, the faster you lose. Control is not glue, it's sand. The more pressure you apply, the quicker it slips through your fingers. Trust is born not in the absence of mistakes, but in the freedom to recover from them. Authority is born not from fear, but from the space you give others to rise. When you strip that space away, you may gain obedience for a while, but you trade away the very thing you wanted most: loyalty, creativity, and genuine commitment. Start by noticing what sits underneath the urge to control. Every time you feel the impulse to check, to correct, to tighten your grip, pause and ask, what am I afraid will happen if I don't? Naming the fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. And honesty loosens the knot that keeps you trapped. Practice the pause. Before you step in, take a breath and count slowly to 3. Most of the time, what feels urgent isn't. That gap gives your team a chance to act and gives you the chance to see whether your control was really necessary or just habitual. Try the exercise of let go and observe. In a small, low-stakes situation, deliberately step back. Resist the urge to interfere. Watch what happens. Often you'll find that people rise to the occasion in ways you didn't expect. And even if they stumble, the stumble becomes their teacher, not your correction. Work with your body. Control lives not only in the mind but in the muscles. Tight jaw, stiff shoulders, clenched fists. These signals tell you you're bracing against life. Soften them. Shake out your hands, roll your shoulders, take slower breaths. When the body releases, the grip in the mind loosens too. Build trust in small steps. Let someone handle a task without your oversight. Share responsibility for decisions instead of keeping it all in your head. Trust isn't built by a grand gesture. It's built in repeated moments where you show people you believe in them. And finally, remind yourself, leadership isn't about proving you can carry the whole weight. It's about creating a space where others carry it with you. Share in the comments what part of letting go feels hardest for you right now. Your honesty might give someone else the courage to take their own first step. Control feels like safety, but in truth, it's a prison you build around yourself. Every command, every correction, every moment you tighten your grip is really a way of whispering, I'm afraid to lose, afraid of failure, of disappointment, of being seen as less than enough. And yet the irony is sharp. The more you cling, the more you lose. What begins as an attempt to protect the team slowly turns into walls that shut everyone out. You wanted loyalty, but got compliance. You wanted trust, but found silence. You wanted strength, but ended up carrying all the weight alone. Freedom begins with honesty. To look at yourself and say, I control because I am afraid. Not to condemn yourself, but to tell the truth. Because in that truth, the grip begins to loosen. The moment you stop hiding the fear, it no longer drives you. And when you let go, something unexpected happens. The team doesn't fall apart. It breathes. Ideas emerge, people take ownership, relationships grow roots. The power you were chasing through control starts to appear naturally because it's no longer forced. This is the deeper paradox of leadership. You don't hold people by gripping harder, you hold them by giving them room to stand. It's not an easy path. You'll feel the urge to take back control 100 times, but each time you resist that urge, each time you choose trust over fear, you reclaim a piece of your own strength. This is only the beginning.